Hey guys, welcome to Real Life Cooking. I'm Chefleen. Today we are exploring vegetarian cuisine. Just got to get Instagram set up. Let's go with Instagram here. Let's check it out. There we are. Not live, not music. There we are. Go live. All right. Hey guys, welcome. Chefleen here. Today we are doing vegetarian food. You asked for it. Viewers have asked. They want healthy, vegetarian, everyone's on there, get their life right for the beginning of the year. Yes, it's still the beginning of the year, even though it feels like it's been like 5 months for me at least. Today we are making pineapple fried rice, and we are also making a curried eggplant. Hey Chris Coy, how you doing over there from the couch? Welcome to Real Life Cooking. We have TT on the ones and twos. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to drop them below and she will relay them to me. Culinary questions, anything we're doing, anything we're not doing, just anything food related, I can totally answer it for you, hopefully. But yes, welcome to Real Life Cooking. I am Chefleen. I've been a chef for 8 years. This is the second episode of the year. We are doing vegetarian food. We're making pineapple fried rice today, and we're making curried eggplant. Vegetarian cuisine is like trending right now. It's been trending for quite some years, so I guess it's around to stay. But the main two reasons people eat in a vegetarian way is because of their health or the environment. Now, I'm not preaching vegetarianism on you, but there have been a lot of scientific studies that 70% of disease is related to your diet, especially those regarding heart and cancer. So if you are concerned about any aspects of your health in that way, you might want to look into incorporating more vegetarian meals in your diet. Also, in terms of the environment, global warming is real. Sorry to tell you guys, I don't believe, but it definitely is real. Considering it was 33 degrees yesterday, now it was like colder yesterday, and now today was like 47. But global warming, the meat raising livestock actually contributes to more greenhouse gas than all the cars and trucks combined in the entire world. So imagine that, like, raising livestock is actually their greenhouse gases. You know, like if you've ever driven by a cow farm, I guess it's called a cow farm. It smells really bad. Those gases are actually escaping into the environment and helping to contribute to global warming. So health and environment are reasons to eat vegetarian. Again, not preaching. I myself love a great burger, love some good ribs. But it is important to be conscious of how we are impacting our environment and impacting our health. So it's not a bad thing to incorporate just a little bit more vegetables into your diet rather than all the time meat. And eating vegetables doesn't have to be boring. The great thing about eating vegetables is it's a time to like put more color, more flavor, experiment with different cuisines. Like today we're diving into Thai cuisine, which is going to be really awesome. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and start with a curried eggplant. So let me just bring over the ingredients for that. We have our eggplants, we have some coconut milk, we have some Thai green curry paste, which I'll get into that a little bit later. We have some garlic, and we have some ginger. Now, and I'm also going to use some olive oil. I'm going to start actually heating up a pan back here with a little bit of the olive oil in it. Now, if you're cooking along at home, anyone cooking along at home, vegetarian food this week. I know Larry Hernandez back in Reno Valley, one of my childhood friends. Actually my first dance ever. Thanks parents for making fun of me and him when I got home. I thought he was cooking along today. Maybe he shouted out on Facebook, he might. If you're cooking along, please have a pot of boiling water back here because we're actually going to be cooking our rice for our fried rice. So I'm going to heat a pan and we're just going to get our aromatics started for our eggplant curry. And our aromatics in this recipe are going to be our ginger, our garlic, our ginger, and our onion. Yes, question.
Yes, question. So we have someone who's new to being a vegetarian and is wondering if you have any tips on vegetarian life. How do they start?
So the tips on being a vegetarian. I am not a vegetarian, but tips on being a vegetarian, try all kinds of different cuisines. If you're used to eating very Americans eat like starch and meat, basically. That's how we eat. All other cultures like Thai, Chinese, Japanese, even Mexican, they don't necessarily eat just that starch and meat. So try out different cuisines if you're not used to them. Thai is a great way to go. Also, explore new vegetables. If you think you don't like something, eggplant is something I'm not like a giant fan of. think you don't like something, try it out and just see if it works for you. Try different flavors. Don't be afraid to experiment. All right, so I'm gonna get started chopping up this onion. Again, if you've watched the show, we have a very specific way of how we chop our onion. We're gonna run through it horizontally a few times. And then we are going to turn it towards us, roll our knife through it vertically a few times, just like so. And then turn it back, and then we will have a nice even dice. Now the closer you make your cuts, the smaller pieces of onion you will get. And I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my pan that is heating up with just some olive oil back here. And I'm gonna let that start to saute and get nice and translucent and amazing, and it's gonna start making the house smell super amazing. Also, in my pan back here that I'm boiling water, I'm gonna add in 1 cup of rice. 1 cup of eyeball rice. If you'd like to measure it, in general, 1 cup of rice makes 2 cups. 1 cup of uncooked rice makes 2 cups of cooked rice. So I'm just gonna use my judgment and add in that rice back there. And I'm cooking rice. You probably have cooked rice in your life. You've probably been inundated with how to cook rice, like 2 cups of water, 1 cup of rice. Put your finger in it. Make sure this. You don't have to like have all those specific things when you're cooking rice. Literally just cook rice like it's pasta. Have a bunch of water, put your rice in, and then in 10 to 12 minutes you're gonna wanna check it. And if it tastes like it's ready, then you're gonna strain it out. If it doesn't taste like it's ready, keep letting it cook. It's really not that big of a science, trust me. This is like gonna change your life, cooking rice like this. And it's gonna change your life because you won't have any pots to scrub, because you won't have any burnt rice anymore. Yes, question?
Question, how many servings is 2 cups of rice?
I'm hesitant to say how many cups or how many servings is 2 cups of rice, because servings are very relative, right? Like the smallest person can eat 2 cups of rice by themselves. The biggest person maybe will only eat 1/4 of a cup. But in general, I think like the general standards is like 1/4 of a cup to 1/2 cup of rice per person. So 2 cups, let's do the math. That's 8 cups, or 8 1/2 of a cup. No, Chris, help me out back here.
4 halves.
4, so yeah, 4 servings of rice, right? 2 cups would be 4 servings of rice with the math I just gave you. All right, so I have my onion back here. We're working on our eggplant curry. I'm gonna salt my onion. That's gonna help bring out some of the moisture inside of it and help it get nice and tender and sweet faster. And while my onion is going back there, I'm gonna go ahead and get my ginger ready. Now, ginger root, not to be confused with ground ginger. Ground ginger is 6 times stronger in flavor than fresh ginger root. So if a recipe calls for fresh ginger, you definitely want to use the fresh ginger, not this ginger powder. Ginger powder is great for like baked goods, like gingerbread or things like that, or if you're making a curry from scratch, which I'll talk about a little bit later. So ginger, I want to go ahead and peel off the skin. Now, an easy way, this ginger I admit is old, but it's not bad. Ginger, it just is going to lose its potency. So I'm going to need more ginger in my recipe than if it were like the freshest, sharpest ginger. The easiest way to peel our ginger is actually to use a spoon. It's going to get around all those nooks and crannies. These little nooks and crannies are actually called fingers. The whole thing of ginger is called a hand. And if you're worried about buying too much ginger, like if you're in the store and you're like, I don't need all this ginger, just break it off and leave that other piece there. No one will send you to jail, I promise. All right, so I'm gonna just peel off my ginger. And the way, using a spoon is really the best way to peel this ginger, because you waste a lot less of it than if you were to cut it off with your knife. So just gonna work my spoon around. That little finger is giving me some issues. There we go. So we have our skin all off of our ginger. And I'm going to grate all of this, well, most of it, this ginger, for both of my recipes. Yes, question?
Question. What's considered old for ginger?
So you'll know what did I make last? When did I buy this? Oh, I bought this ginger at the beginning of the year. I remember, I'm going to turn this pan down because my onion is nice and, getting nice and translucent, and the pan is starting to turn a little color. So I bought this ginger at the beginning of the year because I was like, oh, I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to juice. I'm going to make celery juice with ginger in it. And clearly that stopped because I still have ginger left. So this is probably about almost a month old. And like I said, it's not going to kill you. It just loses potency, and it gets a little more stringier and harder to grate. which is why we're gonna use our rasp grater and just go ahead and grate down this ginger. It's like the easiest way to make our nice paste of ginger back here. So I'm just gonna use this, and as I grate this down, it's gonna start to come out, but not only is it gonna start to come out, I can start just tapping it down, and then I'll have this nice paste of ginger. I think I've used ginger before in this show, and I told you, do as I say, not as I do. I told you that if you grate all your ginger and freeze it into little discs, it actually will help save some of that potency, and it won't be like as old tasting. You won't need as much in your recipes. But, you know, this works too. This is real life. This is my real life. My goal is to make you feel like cooking is super easy to do in your own home. That's why we're making a super easy curry today and really easy fried rice. And we use old ingredients because we don't want to waste things. We paid money for this. It's not going to kill us. Trust me. Promise. Alright, so I'm going to just grate all of this. And you might be saying, oh my gosh, you're using so much ginger for one recipe. But ginger is a really main component in our fried rice too. So I'm just going to do all the work now for this one ingredient. And then I can use it in both recipes. Again, if you have any questions, please drop them down in the box. And our technological goddess guru, Titi Layo, will relay them to me. So, again, with the old ginger, if this was fresh, this would be a lot easier. I wouldn't be like over here working out grating this ginger. It has a lot more fibers in it now. Alright, that should be enough ginger for both recipes. I want to make sure I get it all out. I'm going to grab a small plate to put what I'm saving for the next recipe on. That's good for the fried rice. And then I also want to grate up some garlic for this recipe. I'm going to use 2 cloves of garlic here. Another thing that's a little old in my house, I was telling Titi Layo when she came here. But it doesn't really, unless it's like green and moldy and like smushy, it's not going to affect your recipe. But unlike ginger, the older garlic gets, the more flavor, like the sharper in flavor it gets. It doesn't lose flavor, it kind of gets a little more sharp in flavor. So be aware of that, especially if you're using it in something raw. This is gonna get cooked down so it won't like be so sharp and so garlicky. All right, I like my fingers more than I need to save all of this garlic. I'm gonna put this over here, and then I'm going to add this to my onion back here that's been happening. Now I added my onion in before I added in the garlic and ginger because I didn't want those to burn. Those things are very small, and the onion has a lot more moisture, so it's not gonna burn. Yes, question.
Question, what are some good ways, is this a vegetarian, I'm sorry, vegan? Is this a vegan dish?
This is actually a vegan dish, yes. So vegan, Thai and Chinese cuisine, and as well as Japanese, are really good for vegans as well. Like if you don't want to eat any dairy, which is the main difference between vegetarian and vegan, these are great options for you as well. All right, next I am going to cut up my eggplant. So this thing, this eggplant, is part of the nightshade family. It's spongy, super absorbent, but it's actually, we think of it as a vegetable, but it's actually part of the berry family. So it's actually more related to strawberries and blueberries than it is actually a vegetable by its botanical definition. And in the olden days, there's myths that eating eggplant could leave, because it's part of the nightshade family, which is like, if you think of shade, like shady characters, it was like considered that if you ate it, it actually contributed to insanity. I can tell you that is untrue. If you eat eggplant, you're not crazy. And also, if you've ever heard the term aubergine, that is what people in like Britain and England call, or people in England call them. If you've ever watched like an English cooking show on Netflix, you binge watch that, and you're like, what is an aubergine? It is the eggplant. They're talking about eggplant. Now, eggplants are used to being they are known as being bitter. So sometimes you'll see in recipes they want you to salt them to draw out some of that bitterness. Actually, most of the bitterness lies inside of the skin of the eggplant. So I'm actually going to cut that off. Also, I find the skin can be kind of tough and chewy, especially an older eggplant. And these bigger eggplants are going to be considered, they're going to be a little older. Everything's old today, I just realized. Their skin is going to be a little more tough. Also, if you've seen in the grocery store, those some slender eggplants that are a little lighter in purple. They're a prettier purple color. Those are sometimes called Japanese eggplants. Those are going to be have less seeds, and they're going to be creamier in flavor and a little more tender as well. Those actually are my preferred type of eggplant, but they are not as accessible as this. This literally will be in almost any single grocery store as opposed to the Japanese eggplants. So that is what we're going for today. I'm going to make a dice out of this eggplant. So what I'm going to do, like I said, I'm going to cut off the skin. One more thing. When you're buying eggplant, you want it to be dark, shiny, luxurious. You don't want any dents or like, and when you press it, you want it to like lightly spring back at you. That's how you'll know it's good. I'm going to cut off the skin, so I'm just going to cut off the top and the bottom. And I'm going to just run my knife. If you saw how I peeled a potato like ages ago, I'm just going to run my knife down to remove that skin. Now, you do not have to remove the skin. If you like the texture or if you're a really big fan of eggplant, definitely leave the skin on. Like I said, eggplant is one of those things that is still kind of growing on me. I do love it because it does provide like that meaty texture if you're looking for meat, like that, if you're missing meat. But it does kind of, the skin is just a little off-putting to me, but you do not have to remove the skin. All right, so now that I have the skin removed, I'm just gonna dice it. The way I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna make long planks of eggplants, just like so. And now I have these nice little discs of eggplant. I'm gonna stack those on top of each other a few at a time, and then make my sticks of eggplant. Then I'll just turn those sticks and make a medium dice here is what I'm gonna go for. And just move those out of the way. And then I'm going to do these again. Move those out of the way. And finally the last one. And eggplant actually cooks pretty easily, or pretty quickly, not easily, pretty quickly. So this dish can be done in nearly 15 minutes if you're really on it and you're not talking to the whole world while you're doing it. All right, so my onions, I'm gonna show you guys without burning my hands. My onions look like this. They have some nice color. They're not burnt. Color is flavor. They have some nice color. They're translucent. The garlic and ginger have gotten some time to meld together and become friends. I'm going to add more oil now at this point. Eggplant absorbs a lot of oil. So if you put, it's kind of like a mushroom. So I'm going to put in maybe a good 2 tablespoons of more oil and get my pan nice and hot again. And then I'm going to put my eggplant in so the eggplant can get some nice color. If you put eggplant in cold oil, then it's just going to absorb oil, and like I said, it's a sponge, and then it's just not going to be very delicious and flavorful. You want to get that color on the eggplant when you are putting it in. All right, so I'm just going to put in my eggplant. Again, I don't want to overcrowd my pan with eggplant, because if I overcrowd my pan, I'm just going to get steamed eggplant, and that's not going to have very good texture. So I'm going to do just a batch at a time. So we'll just stir that around. Also, I want to go ahead and give my rice a stir back here. Make sure that's cooking. All right, and we will put the rest of this eggplant on here. We'll do what we're doing right now is called batch cooking, where you have to do 2 different times of cooking so you get the best possibility out of them all. So just move that to the side. And again, I want to make sure I'm watching this because I don't want my eggplant to burn. I don't want my onions to burn, but I do want it to get that color on there. And as I move my eggplant around, it's picking up some of that fond that the onions have left. What is so funny over there?
Who, me?
Yes. Chi-Chi's over there snickering. What does someone say?
I think I'm just happy.
Oh, okay. Chi-Chi's happy right now. All right. Again, if you have any questions, comments, please drop them below. I will answer your culinary questions. I've been loving all the texts I get from my friends, like, look what I made, I watched a show and I made this. It's awesome. I'm really glad to be inspiring you guys to cook in your own homes. It's so easy. It really is easy to cook for yourself. And so much healthier, and you save a lot of money.
I have a question.
Question.
What is your favorite vegetarian dish?
My favorite vegetarian dish, probably has cheese in it because I'm vegan is a little rough for me. I love cheese. I don't know. Actually, you know what's really good are jackfruit tacos. Jackfruit is like this. It's a fruit that comes from like the Philippines and like Indonesia, places like that. And actually, you can make it so it looks like pulled pork. So you flavor it with all the same flavors of like meat, like cumin, chili powder, all those things, and then you put it in a taco with all these other toppings, and it tastes so good. So that's probably one of my favorite. I do like eggplant parmesan. I'm a sucker for eggplant parmesan. But I feel like those kinds of dishes, like you're trying to be healthy, but then you're loading it with so much cheese and so much oil that it actually ends up being not. It's like counterintuitive in a sense. All right, I'm gonna take out my first batch of eggplant that has gotten a little bit of color and pulled up some of that color from the onion down there, just into this bowl. And then I'm gonna add some more oil to my pan because we need more oil for the second batch of eggplant. And go ahead and add that in as well and let that cook a bit. This out of the way. Oh yes, that is the sound we want to hear for our eggplant. So the salting method I was talking about earlier is like you'll cut your eggplant and then put salt on it, and then as it sits with the salt for like 30 minutes, the moisture starts to draw out, and supposedly that draws out some of the bitterness. Apparently these days we don't need to draw out that bitterness, especially with the globe eggplant that we're using here. And it's just an extra step, and in real life, who has that extra time to have that extra step? All right, now let's talk about the curry, the whole flavoring component of our dish. Now, curry is something that a lot of home chefs do not want to even attempt, and for good reason, because it has like a million different ingredients. Like literally one curry can have coriander seeds, cumin seeds, peppercorns, Thai chili, shallots, coriander root, galangal, which is like a Thai ginger, or Thai ginger root, turmeric root, lemongrass, kefir, lime leaves, and garlic, which is like, who has time to buy all of those ingredients? Also, where are you going to even find most of those ingredients? It's like you have to go to so many different stores to find all those things. So luckily for us, we live in 2019, and we have this thing that is already kind of built in for us. Now, is it authentic Thai curry that you're going to get like if you go to a Thai restaurant? No. But in a pinch, it'll totally do. Yes, question.
What's the difference between Thai curry and like Jamaican curry?
So Thai curry, well, yeah, so a lot of different cuisines use curry, Thai, Jamaican, Indian, and they're all very different because they just use different chilies. Like the areas that they are in grow different chilies, which have different flavors. For example, there's the three basic chilies are red, yellow, and green, like just the colors. And they really are just dependent on the types of chilies used. Except for yellow, or not red. What did I say? Red, yellow, and red, yellow, and green. Except for yellow curry has a lot of turmeric in it. Yellow curry is a lot often associated with Jamaican or Indian cuisine. So it just depends on the ingredients involved in it. All right, this batch of eggplant is looking good. So I'm going to turn down the heat just slightly and add a hefty scoop of my Thai green curry paste. Now this is from Thai Kitchen. That's probably about 2 tablespoons. This Thai Kitchen is a great brand to use. It's very accessible. It's sold in nearly almost every grocery store. And I just want to let it toast up in a hot pan before I added my other ingredients. Oh yes, it's starting to look so good. Now, I'm going to add in my other eggplant that we already kind of sauteed. And I want to work quickly and open this can of coconut milk, and I'm going to add that to it as well. And then I'm just going to let everything cook together. This is so easy, like so easy. There we go.
I have a question.
Question.
What if some ingredients call for you to just use the top part of the coconut milk versus the bottom?
Using the different parts, so coconut milk in the can has 2 different layers. There's one that's super liquidy and then like coconut cream on the top. And it just depends on what a recipe is using. Just depends on like the consistency that they want. For this recipe, because we're kind of making a stew, I'm just using all of it because it doesn't really matter. And as it cooks down, it's going to get thicker anyway. So yeah. All right, so now all of our ingredients are in here. We have our onion, we have our ginger, we have our garlic, our eggplant, we put our Thai chili paste, and we put our coconut milk. I also want to give it a nice bit of salt because people think that when you're using such strong flavors like curry paste, you don't need to salt, but actually salt is gonna help bring out like all those distinctive flavors within the curry paste. So you definitely don't wanna skip the salt when you're using curry because you're like, oh, it's so flavorful, I don't need salt. Definitely don't skip the salt, and a good amount. And now all we really have to do for this is let it kind of do its own thing. I am gonna taste it and see the level of curry paste that I want in there because when it comes to how much curry paste you're gonna add in, it's totally up to you. How spicy you want it, how flavorful you want it. So I'm not gonna tell you an exact amount. I would start with a tablespoon and see how it is for you personally. Unless you're a private chef and you're cooking for people, then you have to guess what their personal tastes are. I think we could use a little more curry paste, so I'm gonna add just a little more. Ooh, it has that back heat. I'm gonna add just slightly more. Christopher, how are you doing over there? Does it smell? How's the smell doing for you?
It smells amazing.
So quick story about Christopher Coy, my lovely boyfriend, loving boyfriend. He hates curry, but he's never tried it. He just does not like the smell.
Really?
So he was very hesitant about me doing this episode today, but he still looks alive over there. So he's living. He's okay, people. Don't worry. Don't worry. All right, I'm gonna put a lid on this and lower the heat. I'm actually gonna move it around. Where's my lid? I'm actually gonna move it to the back because we're gonna need this burner for our fried rice in just a second. Turn this off. Move this back. And honestly, this is pretty much done. Once you taste the eggplant and it feels soft and chewy, then you're done with cooking your curry. All right, let's check our rice. Again, how do we know if our rice is done? We're gonna taste it and see what's happening with it. Now don't put this hot spoon directly in your mouth. That's how you burn your mouth, burn your tongue, and then you're sad, and then you might be mad at me. Let's see. I think this rice, I can actually tell by looking at this rice it's done. It opens up. It doesn't look raw anymore. It looks completely different than, all right, but let me taste it for good measure. Yep, it's done. So now all I'm gonna do is strain it using my strainer. If you do not have one of these at your house, you should buy one. They're amazing because it makes it so easy to drain things, and it's a lot easier to clean than those big strainers that you have. So I want to strain out my rice. And I'm just going to put it right back on here. Now, a quick note about fried rice. Fried rice is actually better because part of fried rice is the texture of it. It's better if you're not actually cooking your rice the day of and you use leftover rice. So a way, if you have the time, a way to make your fresh cooked rice seem like day-old rice, it's kind of weird, is to lay it out on a sheet pan and put it in the freezer and let it get frozen, and then it will have like that hard, crunchy characteristic, and then when you cook it in the pan, it'll have that, it'll be a little bit more like the texture of fried rice. Now, in real life, we're just gonna do this, but I'm sure in real life you often have a lot of leftover rice, so good. Whenever you have leftover rice and random vegetables in your fridge, fried rice is the perfect meal to make. It's so easy. All right, so I'm gonna leave my rice here. I have a pan here, and I'm gonna bring over my ingredients for my fried rice. Today we're making pineapple fried rice. So we have a lovely pineapple. We also have our onion, our other half of our onion. We also have bell pepper, basil, and scallions. And that's all we're going to talk about now. There's more ingredients, but that's all we're going to talk about now. Yes. Question.
Can you substitute the whole pineapple for the pineapple you can get in a can?
Yes. You can. I wouldn't recommend it. I know why you wouldn't want to get a whole pineapple. If you don't like pineapple that much, then you probably don't want a whole pineapple in your house. But canned pineapple doesn't taste like fresh pineapple. So you can, but I wouldn't.
So
but you can.
Okay.
Well, no, you can. Cooking is fluid. You can do what you want, but I wouldn't recommend it. Alright, so before we get started, or not before we get started, before we get into our pineapple, I'm just going to cut the other half of the onion. I know you guys are so thrilled of how to cut an onion. I want to cut this in the exact same way, except for maybe a little, I'll probably make my cuts a little bit smaller than last time. Because in fried rice, we want our ingredients to be pretty small, like almost the size of your rice, so they're not taking away from each other. Alright, so we have that. I need to sharpen my knives. It should never be this hard to run your knife through an onion. And I know a lot of you guys are guilty at home. And you think that having a sharper knife is more dangerous. Actually, having a duller knife is way more dangerous in your kitchen. Alright, so I made my small dice of onion here. Only half an onion is needed. And we have our garlic. I'm going to go ahead and grate that up. And we have our ginger from before. Go ahead and grate my garlic. And I'm going to start my pan and start heating up our aromatics once again. Notice a trend here. We heat up our aromatics first to get those flavors out. Let's heat up our pan. This time, I'm not using olive oil. I'm actually going to use sesame seed oil. Sesame seed oil is made out of, you guess it, sesame seeds that are pressed and oil comes out of them. They're basically like a nut. And I'm going to generously use the sesame seed oil and then add in my onion using my bench scraper. That garlic was so strong, I'm like about to cry. See, I told you old garlic is stronger. Alright, so let's add in our onion and our garlic and our ginger, our leftover ginger from before. And I'm going to add some salt. Of course, we want to add our layers of flavor. Next, I'm going to cut up my bell pepper. This is a giant bell pepper. I'm only going to use half. I'm going to give it a rinse. Make sure there's no dust and dirt. New Yorkers' hands that touched it and put it back. It's like, oh, this isn't the right one for me. Cutting off the top and the bottom. Sliding my knife through. Opening it up like a book. And then pulling out those seeds. I'll save those for snack. And then I'm going to cut this. And now I'm just going to cut some sticks of bell pepper. And same method, turn them this way. Now, if you're not used to cutting, I wouldn't cut all of these at the same time. I would maybe cut that into 2 batches. And then I'm going to cut some small dice of bell pepper. Alright, and let's add that to the pan as well. We want to get these things nice and sauteed. My heat is at, I would say a medium high because I don't want to burn these things, but I do want to create some flavor with the color, colorization, is that the word? The colorization that will happen. And I'm going to, stir it around, of course. Alright.
I have a comment.
Question, comment?
Comment.
Comment.
The way you just cut the bell pepper.
Yes.
That's the only way I cut my bell pepper now. It's so much faster than the way I used to cut my bell pepper and make a mess.
See, changing lives. TT has learned to cut a bell pepper in an efficient manner. Bell pepper is like a confusing thing. You're like, how do I cut this weird shaped object? Alright, I'm also going to add in, so scallions, green onions. They have a top and a bottom. This green leafy bottom, this part is a little more, what is the word I'm looking for? It's a little more, in flavor-wise, it's stronger in flavor, these bottom parts. So I want to actually saute this part, and I'm going to use this top part for garnish. So I'll cut this for garnish at the end to finish with the end, and I'll use these to saute right now with the other vegetables. So we'll leave those over there. And all you need to do is just run your knife through them. Sometimes you want to be careful with green onions. Sand often likes to hide within the layers, especially in the bottom part. So you will definitely want to make sure you give them a good rinse. Use my bench scraper, not my knife. Start sauteing those up. And
I have a
question.
Question, how long does a dish like this last in the refrigerator?
In the fridge, if you make fried rice, I would say like 2 to 3 days. If you add protein to it, like if you were to add seafood, definitely not more than a day. I don't eat seafood after a day. Well, maybe like 1 day after, but not 2. But fried rice, yeah, 2 to 3 days. All right, so we have all of our vegetables sauteing for our fried rice. If you're just joining us, welcome to Real Life Cooking with Chefleen. We are making vegetarian food today. We have our eggplant curry just simmering in the back. It's super easy. We just use coconut milk and Thai curry paste that's easily found in stores. Just letting it simmer back with some onions, some garlic, and some ginger. For our fried rice, our pineapple fried rice, we are sauteing some onion, bell pepper, scallion, garlic, and ginger in this big saute pan here. And while that's going, I'm going to keep a watchful eye on it. I'm going to talk about pineapple. So, I wanted to make this dish special, so that's why I'm making pineapple fried rice. How to choose a good pineapple, you want to smell it. It's going to be a little more yellow on the bottom. You don't want a pineapple that's completely green. It's going to start to be turning yellow, and it'll be easy to pick off some of the leaves. Like if you have to struggle, like if you're like, oh, I can't take this off, then it's probably not super right. Also for this recipe, I'm going to show you how to carve out a pineapple so we can have a beautiful presentation. Question.
What is it supposed to smell like?
What is the pineapple supposed to smell like? Pineapple is supposed to smell like pineapple.
Delicious.
So sweet. It's going to smell just like when you're eating pineapple and it's close to your face. That's how you'd want. Or even another example, canned pineapple, almost in a sense. It'll smell sweet. This is like, I would say, on a scale of 1 to ripe, this is probably like a 6, maybe a 7. We'll see. But it doesn't really matter for this fried rice because we're going to cook it. We're actually going to caramelize it a little bit, which will develop some even more flavor. Now, if I was eating it raw, I would definitely want to take a little bit more time to make sure that I'm picking like the sweetest, best pineapple. All right, so for our presentation purposes, I'm going to make a pineapple bowl, which honestly I've never done before. I needed to call Kelly Howard to get some tips and tricks. But I'm going to go ahead and cut this in half. And I want to keep all of these like floury parts intact too. So I'm going to cut it in half twice. And again, sharp knife is key here. And hopefully, let's see, coming all across. Perfect. I'll use this side, I guess. And to carve out this pineapple, I'm actually going to take a smaller knife, a paring knife, is what you call it. Let me go ahead and stir my fried rice. Oh yes, it's getting nice and caramelized back here. Starting to smell amazing. We're going to take a paring knife and run our paring knife along the edge of this pineapple without cutting through the bottom. Because if you cut through, I guess if you cut through the bottom, it's not like the hugest deal, but just try not to cut through the bottom. And then I'm going to run my knife and make kind of like a crosshatch. So I'm making like chunks of pineapple. And then this core right here is not edible, just FYI. You shouldn't eat that part. It's very fibrous. Then I'm going to, I need another bowl. Then I'm going to just take a spoon and just scoop out these pieces that I've made. So then they should come out, oh, look at that, pretty easily. Yes, question?
No question. So if you're not into vegetarianism, when should you add the meat to this dish?
If you are not into vegetarianism, that's not the word. Someone please help me out. If you do not want to be a vegetarian, there we go. You can add the meat, I would say at the end. When you get to the end, I would cook the meat separately actually and then add it in at the end. That would be the easiest way to do it. When I actually made shrimp fried rice on my story the other day, and I actually sauteed the shrimp first and cooked them in the same pan, and then I did this part, and then I just added them in at the end. Because if you cook them all at the same time, it's not going to be good eats, as Elton Brown would say. All right, so now that I've got out most of it, I'm just going to scoop out all of this. Now this is kind of like the crushed pineapple that you get in a can. A piece of pineapple went flying across the room. How is the pineapple, Christopher?
I don't know, I didn't taste it.
Oh, he hasn't tasted it. He's going to rinse it off. All right, and now we have our little pineapple bowl. Awesome, right? How cute. Question.
So this is a question about knives again. If someone's in the market for good knives, what's a good brand to look at?
I get this question all of the time. And I don't really, like a set of knives, I do not recommend buying a set of knives unless you host a lot and you need steak knives. But if you're just looking for a knife to like chop with in general, this is like one of my favorite knives. It's like 40 bucks. It's called the Victorinox. It's a Swiss knife. What are the other ones? I can't think of them off the top of my head right now, but message me and I'll let you know if you have that question still. But if you're looking for a set of knives, unless, like I said, you entertain a lot and you need a lot of steak knives, I wouldn't recommend buying like that knife block, because a lot of the times those knives are not necessarily good quality. Kind of similar concept to buying like Rachel Ray's whole pot set or like Emerald Lassie's. Like, you want to buy really quality things. If your pot costs like $19, it's probably not going to last a lifetime. All right, so we have our pineapple bowl, but I'm going to show you, if say you wanted to cut a pineapple and not make a bowl, the way you'd want to do that, similar to the eggplant, you'd want to cut off the top and the bottom. And then this is a lot easier to do when the pineapple's whole. And then you would just go ahead and run your knife down through and get off the skin as close as possible so you're not wasting a ton of pineapple. There we go. These are also called eyes of the pineapple, in case you were wondering what these little random things are called. Then, I'm actually going to use this part of the pineapple for my rice because it's going to be easier to make a dice. I'm going to cut some planks. Probably just 2 is all I'll need for this. And I'm going to do the same thing I always do. Out of our planks, make some sticks. And then turn our sticks. And then make a nice little fine dice. Just like that. And then I'm going to add this pineapple. Look at our aromatics have really cooked down. They're brown. They're a nice caramely color. They smell amazing. So to this, I'm going to add in my pineapple so it can start to get some of that color as well. And while our pineapple is getting the color that we want it to get, it smells so good. While our pineapple is getting the color we want it to get, I'm going to talk about basil, because the other key component to this dish is basil. A nice, amazing flavor. So basil, this is actually Italian basil, the basil that you're probably most used to. It has big flat leaves. It also normally comes super sandy, like horribly sandy. So the best way to wash it is just really to dip it in a big bucket of water or a big bowl of water and just let it sit and kind of move it around and make sure all that sand washes off of it. And sometimes you have to do this 2 or 3 times. I wish you guys could see. I guess I'll save this water and I'll post it later so you can see how dirty this water gets. It's like quite disgusting. Alternatively, if you get it in those little plastic packagings, normally that basil is pretty clean, but I think that sometimes it doesn't last as long because once your basil is washed, it actually doesn't last as long, I think. Personal opinion here. All right, I don't need so much of this basil. Just want to make sure it's super clean, so I'll take that out. Now, if you've heard of, there's actually a lot of different varieties of basil, and if you can get your hands on Thai basil, that would be ideal here since we're kind of recreating a Thai dish. Thai basil is unique in the fact that unlike this kind of basil, it actually cooks, when you cook it, it doesn't lose its flavor. If we were to put this basil in right now, its flavor is not going to be the same. So it's best if we add it in as a garnish along with our scallions. Once you cook this basil, it doesn't have as great of a flavor as it is fresh. But if you found the Thai basil, you could cook it in with your aromatics and it'll give it a nice, even more depth of flavor. I'm actually just going to chiffonade this, so I just rolled that up and run my knife through it, just like so. And then we'll just leave that to the side. And then I'm also at the same time going to cut up my green scallions. I'll cut them on a bias, which literally all you means is just turn your knife this way. Yes, question.
What's a chiffonade?
A chiffonade is a French term that means ribbons, and it just means cutting your herb in a way that makes it look like ribbons. And the key is just to make your knife cuts really small, really close together, so you end up with like these little ribbon looking things. All right, so we have our greenery that'll be ready for the end when we finish our rice. Our pineapple is back here caramelizing, lovely. I just want to move it around. Oops, wrong spoon. This one. Move it around a little. I'm going to raise the heat just a bit so it can really get that color on it. And while that is getting its final amount of color, I'm going to crush up some cashews. Chopping nuts is one of my least favorite hobbies.
Yeah.
Well, chopping nuts is one of my least favorite things to do because the nuts roll all over the place. Like, it's just a mess. So if you have a food processor, pop them in your food processor, whirl them around a couple times. That's the easiest way, but then you have to clean the food processor. Another way that I've learned to do it is just put it in a Ziploc bag, although not the most environmentally friendly way, because now I'm throwing away the bag. And then use something like a meat mallet, or in this case, a juicer, and just go ahead and crush them, just like so. These are cashews, by the way. So now we have all our garnishes
Unsalted.
ready. For question?
Salted or unsalted?
These are unsalted, but you can use whatever you want. I normally keep unsalted cashews because then I can make cashew milk and things of that nature, and I'm less likely to snack on them. Cashews have a lot of calories, more than the average nut.
Me too.
All right,
No salt.
let's turn this off. Okay, so we have all of our aromatics and our pineapple back here, nice and ready. Now, what I want to do is actually remove this from the pan. So the key to making a good fried rice with nice texture is cooking everything kind of separately. So we cooked our aromatics first, our garlic, our ginger, our onion. Then we added in our pineapple to get that some nice color and caramelization. Now I'm going to keep the heat on high, add a little bit more of our sesame oil, and actually fry an egg inside of here. So, crack your egg and plop it in. Don't forget to salt your egg because we want it to have flavor. You can use, actually for 2 cups of rice, you can use up to 2 eggs. Question?
If you wanted to add shrimp, would you cook it separately and add it after, or when would be a good time to add it?
Yes, if you wanted to cook shrimp, I would cook it separately and add it after. I would saute it, but you can use the same pan. I would cook the shrimp, take them out, do your vegetables, take them out, do your egg, and then follow the rest of the processes that we're about to do. So I just broke up my egg back here, and I'm just scrambling it on a high heat. And it doesn't even have to be fully cooked before we add in our rice. But we want our pan to be pretty hot when we add our rice because the concept is fried rice. If your pan is not hot and you have a lot of oil, again, I'm going to add in some more oil. If you have a lot of oil and your pan is not hot, all your rice is going to do is absorb that oil, and it's not going to be delicious. We want it to get that crispiness to it. So we're going to add in our rice that we cooked today. Again, this is a great place for leftover rice if you just have random Chinese food rice left in your fridge. And the great thing about this recipe, well, not this pineapple fried rice recipe, but fried rice in general, is it really is so versatile. You can use any kind of vegetables that you have lying in your fridge. Like if you have random broccoli, random spinach, just kale, you can make kale fried rice. Just be really adventurous with it and imaginative with it, and you'll end up with something really good. All right, so I'm going to just toss around my rice with the egg. And then I'm going to let it, because I wanted to move it around because it was all clumped together. But now I'm just going to let it sit there for a second and cook. In the meantime, I'm going to check my eggplant back here. Ooh, that is hot. Don't want to hurt myself. Ooh, yes. Our eggplant is like a beautiful eggplant stew back here. I know it's not like the most amazing color, but we'll garnish it with some green onion to make it look beautiful in the end. All right. So our rice, let's go ahead and add in our vegetables to our rice. Our pineapple, our bell pepper, our onion, that garlic. And go ahead and give it a stir.
Question. Can you substitute the fresh pineapple with frozen pineapple?
that is something I would not do, actually. I would not substitute the fresh pineapple for frozen because frozen pineapple is going to have a lot more moisture inside, which is going to seep out into your rice and make it kind of a weird consistency. All right, so our fried rice, literally at this point, is almost done. We just have to add a few more flavoring components, and these will be totally up to your taste. So I always add in a little bit of soy sauce. This is actually tamari, which is a gluten-free soy sauce, and actually has a deeper flavor than regular soy sauce. Doesn't have any wheat in it though. And I'm sorry for people that want measurements, but it's really about how you like to taste things. So imagine soy sauce is adding a salty component. Mirin is a rice wine. It adds an umami flavor. It's similar to sake. And it's also sweet. So if you don't have mirin, you could use rice wine vinegar with a little bit of sugar. So sweet flavor, depending on how sweet you like your things, that's how much of that you're gonna add. And then sriracha or garlic chili sauce, how spicy you like things. It's really not rocket science. I promise you don't need the measurements. Just add a little bit in at a time and then go ahead and taste it and see what you think. All right. And as you see, as I added in those ingredients, the color changed a little bit. I'm going to be very sparing on the sriracha because last time I made fried rice, I made it way too spicy. So I'm going to add just a little. And go ahead and stir that around. And then, what do I need to do? Taste it, of course. All right, let's taste it. Again, I'm not going to be too worried about letting it, like, sit there on the fire without stirring it too often because that's going to add some nice texture. Hot. That's the first flavor.
Or hot?
First flavor I taste. I'm going to add some more soy sauce. And just a little bit more mirin. And a little bit of salt, actually. I think that's what's actually really missing. Alright. Now, we will add in our garnishes, our basil and our green onion. And our cashews. These are totally optional, but they do add a nice crunch. Especially if you have rice that's a little more mushy than you would like it to be. And all we have to do is plate our lovely food. Let's move this out of the way. Move this out of the way as well. And grab my plates. Put our lovely pineapple bowl that we made straight on the plate. And go ahead and put our fried rice right inside of the bowl. Woo! This looks delicious. And it's vegetarian. And it's still filling because you have the rice, you have all these amazing flavors that keep you interested in your food. I think a lot of times people think vegetarians are like eat boring and they're bored with their food. But when you have all these amazing flavors, there's no way you could get bored. Question?
Question. If you wanted to make it vegan, could you substitute the egg for anything or just leave it out?
Oh, I would just leave the egg out of this if you wanted to make it vegan. Alright, so there we have our pineapple fried rice, our Thai pineapple fried rice. And then I also want to plate up our eggplant curry. This will be good on top of the rice, but because we have a not so much fan of curry in here, I'm going to keep it separate over here. And to garnish this, you could use some green onions. Also, you know what's great is some lime. Where's my zester? My zester, come back to me. Oh, here it is. Some lime zest on top of here. It's going to add a nice floral component to that curry. And you can even garnish it with a little wedge of lime as well. That's going to cut that heat of it and make it delicious. All right, well, thank you so much for joining me on Real Life Cooking with Chefleen on our vegetarian episode. I will be back actually on February 13th where we make a date night meal. We, meaning me and Christopher Coy. And it should be really exciting and fun because, you know, he can't really cook that well. Just kidding. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Tell your friends. If you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you so much. Have a great night.